Media Zushi. Media Zushi. Media.
Hello, friends, family, nerds, and film enthusiasts. Welcome to episode 3 of Media Zushi, R24's podcast where we discuss one of our favorite things.
Yes.
Films, movies, TV, television. Today it's just Gordy and I. Good old Jake Sasquatch is doing some stuff, but we're going to talk to you about 3 very special things.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, let's just get some introductions out of the way. Gordy, what have you been watching? Anything?
What have I been watching? I don't know.
I know it's not Stranger Things season 2, you goddamn communist.
No. I haven't been watching a whole lot of anything. The only thing like I'm frequenting consistently is Westworld.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Westworld. Hell yeah. I'm super stoked on it. Are you into season 2 this year?
I'm warming up to it, especially after the last episode.
Yeah. So it started off like slow for me. I was like, But then as we started ramping up and then, we get to Shogun World.
Yeah.
And
Like,
as of
spoiler alert.
as of we're recording this would have been 2 Sundays ago.
It's a while back.
Full disclosure here.
This is a spoiler cast.
The whole episode today and most episodes, they are spoilers galore. 2 of these movies have been out for a little while. So like if you haven't seen them yet, that's your own damn fault. One of them just came out this weekend as we're recording it, but we've got a lot to talk about. So we're not going to hold back.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say that I've been watching on Netflix is that show I told you about a ways back, The Toys That Made Us.
The Toys That Made Us. Is that an ongoing series?
Yeah, they just came out with season 2.
Oh, right on.
And the seasons are only 4 episodes each, but the first season's got G.I. Joe, Star Wars, He-Man. The second season's got Lego, Star Trek, Transformers and shit. But I want to watch them with you. But they're very well done, quirky documentaries about toy lines we grew up with.
That's awesome.
So you will really enjoy them. So we should watch those in the coming weeks.
Absolutely.
But that's, I've been watching Westworld, enjoying it. But that's not why we're here.
No.
Let's get into our topics because we got a lot to cover.
We do.
The first thing, we're catching up a little bit because we haven't had an episode in about a couple months here. So, but Infinity War.
Infinity War.
We saw it.
We did see it.
Let's talk about what we enjoyed.
Okay, so we go on with the positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so the first thing, what I enjoyed was almost the whole fucking thing. It was the first. It's something interesting happened for me with Avengers: Infinity War. I like Marvel movies. We go see all of them, and they're always just fine for me.
Okay.
Comic wise, I was always a bit more of a DC person in the sense that Batman just does it for me. Yeah. And then the whole Batman universe I consume in large amounts because I love it.
Yeah.
I like X-Men. I've always been a fan of them, but I never read the comics a whole lot. I'm a real casual Marvel fan. And I was always that way with the MCU. Watch the movies. I'm like, oh, cool. It's Iron Man. It's Spider-Man. I really like Spider-Man. But I was always just like, oh, these are fine movies. They're fun movies. But with Infinity War, something happened. We watched it. And something clicked in my mind where I was like, holy fuck, I really like Marvel right now. And so then I started reading Marvel comics. I've been buying all the Marvel's Legends figures.
Yep.
Like a lot of them.
And now
there's
a pile over there.
I'm like full-fledged. I think I'm like a huge Marvel fan. I can't stop reading the comics. I'm just going through all these different arcs and just digging in the fuck in. And I attribute that to Infinity War. That triggered something in me where I really enjoyed Marvel. It just clicked after
he snapped his fingers and it all changed.
This guy. Yeah, it all changed. It all just really clicked into place for me after 10 years. I'm like, oh shit, I bought all of the Marvel movies and I've been watching the MCU from the start, the chronological start with Captain America. And now I'm just like sucking its fucking thing. I love Marvel, and the Infinity War did that. So because of that, I love the movie. There's other reasons why I like it cinematically and for film reasons, but movies we attribute to personal reasonings, and this did a huge personal thing for me in terms of a interest that I had been trying to cultivate that is now full-fledged. So that's my first.
Very cool.
That's my first gut reaction. You go.
Super excited about that for you. because that will give us more to talk about.
Yeah. Now maybe we can do media, or we can do zero issue.
Zero issue and stuff like that as we dig into comics again, old school style. So Infinity Wars for me is cool. I like how they don't follow the comic books exactly in the Marvel MCU. It's its own thing. I love that. I love it.
Yeah,
don't try and make things exactly one-to-one.
They're not. It's not like,
idea.
here's the stories you already know and love. Beat for beat. This is a
reimagining
of it.
Yeah,
cool.
It's cool. Very cool. So as far as Infinity War goes, what it means to me, I love it. I think it's the ultimate progression of the MCU. My favorite part is from which Robert Downey Jr. Pointed out in an interview where they're like, why is MCU so successful? And he said, basically, they honor the characters, the source material. They listen to the fans, and they grow with that, with the community. So the fanfare means a lot to them. And we saw that in this movie. There was improvements that directly correlate to fan outcry.
And that's just it. Yeah. And it's super evident, I think, actually starting back with Spider-Man, because there was a lot of stuff with the Marvel movies that we were always very critical of. Like, obviously, for one, and this is a big thing for everyone, the villains. Marvel has had a villain problem where they just have been real weak points in the movie. The Marvel villains have been the weak link in their films for a great amount of time.
Yeah.
I think that they really started to address that issue and started to fix it with Spider-Man Homecoming, because I think that Michael Keaton was a great Vulture.
Yes.
He was relatable because he was, like we were discussing, he's an everyday man. He's just a dude trying to provide for his family, and it gives him depth and complexities that made him a really great villain, because that's what makes a good villain, is like, when you can see it from the villain's point of view, then you have a complexity within yourself while you're watching the film that makes it all that much more better, because it creates a nice tension and drama to see your protagonist and antagonist fighting for a similar cause, but from the opposite ends of the spectrum, which makes good. So they did the great job with that. And I think that they did a pretty good job with Killmonger and Black Panther. I didn't fucking fillet Black Panther like the rest of the United States did. I think it was a fine movie. I think the best part of it, though, was its villain. I think that Michael B. Jordan did a really great job with him. I actually liked him as a character. I think that parts of his direction were a bit rushed, but to be expected when you only have like 25 minutes of screen time to work with.
Yeah.
But I think he did a good job, and I was like, cool. But nothing compares to what they did with Thanos. He was such an excellent character, and I was like, okay, all right, Marvels, thank you for finally giving me a villain I can sink my teeth into, who effectively wins.
Yeah.
It's a Empire Strikes Back ending all the way.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's another reason why I enjoy it so much, because it reminds me of the greatest movie of all time.
I think for me, absolutely. I think I liked, like you were saying with those other two villains, they were everyman people, and when you have a hero, they start as an everyman, right? And then they go through a trial, and some people they go bad, some people they go good, and it's cool to see the villains come from that. But Thanos was a similar phenomenon. He was a complex character. But there was a little bit of they did explain a tiny bit of his past, but they didn't go into it deep. There was some mysterious quality to his character still, even at the end of it. I don't know how they did it, but I loved Thanos. He was the main character in the movie. He was. It's
weird because they found this interesting line of Thanos being the antagonist, obviously, but also simultaneously being the protagonist in his own weird genocidal way. Now, that's just to say, obviously, this movie is, of course, not without its flaws. Every piece of art and film has its flaws. Of course, like, if he's so concerned about it, snap your fingers and give everyone fucking double resources. I don't know.
Everybody gets a Big Mac. You get a Big Mac.
Yeah, you get a Big Mac. You get a Big Mac. So it's like, okay, fine. So be it. Also, it's like, you get the stone and you're so upset about Gamora, fucking snag that time stone and just bring her back. It's so there's, of course, a lot of plot holes that you just kind of have to just just whatever, because it's still a movie.
I think and this is based off of or roughly inspired by the original comics, the Thanos quest, and the tie-ins that lead up to it. And when these comics were written, and they cut out Lady Death.
Yeah.
But in terms of Thanos, overcrowding.
Because you just read the Infinity Gauntlet or are in the process of, right? So you have a fresh mind on the matter?
Yeah, well, I'm reading everything, all of the tie-ins. Anything Infinity Stone as far back as Captain Marvel, number 15. I mean, I'm going way back. A lot of Silver Surfer, anything with Thanos. And refreshing myself, reading stuff I've never even seen. But when these were written, overcrowding was like a legit fear. We didn't have like a base of information where everybody knew that it was not something we need to worry about.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the fundamental ideas are very fanciful, and just don't take them too seriously. This isn't a movie for deep thinkers.
No, for sure. At the end of the day, it's a Marvel movie where you're there to watch some superheroes kick some ass.
Just kick some ass, exactly.
So, I mean, sure. I'll buy it, Thanos. That's fine. Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do with Thanos.
But props to Josh Brolin for really bringing a life to a character that I didn't know that I needed until I saw the movie. I was like, it's weird because it's like when in terms of cinematic villains, there's been great cinematic villains. There's obviously nothing will ever compare to Darth Vader and things like that. But there is now, I consider Thanos to be up in the ranking of a classic film villain. And that was thanks all in part to Josh Brolin's performance.
Yeah.
Really just knocked it out of the water. What a great year for Josh Brolin.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kicking ass.
Yeah, he's kicking a lot of ass.
Taking names.
And of course, we'll talk about it in the next subject, but it's interesting to see Josh Brolin, who's got two different cinematic roles in two different quote-unquote Marvel movies that are in two different Marvel universes that are competing with each other in the box office and both doing extremely well.
Yeah.
It's really got to be a strange place for him to be in. And it's actually a really strange place for us as film goers to see, because it's like they really got to figure that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the villain problem solved for Marvel, I think. I think that's in part to why Infinity War was the best. But what is next? Because we know at the end of Infinity War, Thanos gets all the gems, or the stones, as they're called in this, snaps his finger, half of all of humanity and life on the universe. Oh, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Fades away. And also, this is another reason beef we had with Marvel movies is they always cut the drama and tension with humor. That always struck us weird. We're like, why would you crack a joke there? It's like supposed to be a fucking deep part. Yeah. And they, I think, addressed that in this, where that whole ending sequence when people are starting to disappear, while it doesn't have the weight that it should, because we all know that's going to be rectified. We all know they're going to come back in some way or another. You can't announce Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and then kill off half the Guardians of the Galaxy and not know that they're going to come back. It's like, come on.
Exactly. I mean, but even if you didn't know about those movies, like, you could basically Photoshop stacks of money disappearing if that was the case. So we all know people are coming back.
Yeah, but the one part that just destroyed everybody was when Peter Parker starts to disintegrate into thin air.
Oh God, yeah.
In Tony's arms, and it was like, fuck. That was like, that's the kind of emotional intensity that I want from these movies.
Absolutely.
And thank you for giving it to me. I know Spider-Man's coming back. Spider-Man 2 has been announced. It's coming. So they'll work it out in the next movie. So there's no finality to it.
Maybe.
Well, you got some thoughts there?
Well, okay. I really think it's going to be, I can't remember his name, so I'm just going to sum it up. The black Spider-Man that can stun people, which I'd be super excited to see, personally.
I can't think of his name, the character's name.
Yeah.
But they did allude to his existence in Spider-Man Homecoming with Donald Glover.
Yeah.
So not him, but he was talking about his nephew, which is that character.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an interesting point. That does fall into what's next. So do you think that then there is some finality in this?
I don't know.
How do you think they'll wrap this up in part 2?
I don't think that the mass not calling the mass disappearance of characters I don't. I will be very disappointed if they get the gauntlet and all they have to do is snap their fingers and undo everything. I want it to be a process of pulling people back. I don't want the next movie to take place directly after this. I want it to be 1, 2, 3, 5 years in the future. And I think that would be more compelling story than just starting where we left off and then everybody gets a free ticket, golden ticket to ride back to life. That would be disappointing to me.
Yeah, okay. I feel that. I read a theory that interested me that they would get the gauntlet, Gamora, not Gamora.
She's not doing a whole lot of anything.
What's her sister's name?
I can't remember. Nebula, thank you.
Then Nebula will get the gauntlet because I think that's what happens in the comics, and they will use it to... I can't remember what the full theory was, but they will use it to find an alternate dimension that has where the other half of people disappeared. And then they will bridge the dimensions together so each half is now back together, which I would be all for because, one, that will still give us the finality because that Earth's Spider-Man will still be dead. So bringing the other dimension Spider-Man in will still be dealing with the consequence that other Spider-Man died. Tony will still have had Spider-Man die in his arms. So I think that's an interesting theory to really keep the finality in check for what happened in part 1, but still happy ending it for part 2. Could be, I don't know how the semantics of it would work, but it'd be cool.
That would be cool. That would be really interesting as long as there's a process to it and it's not just everybody's back in play right away. I do hope that we get to see some aftermath in other movies, and then we deal with the aftermath in the next movie without that like magical. Because it's the same mechanism. It's the same psychology as this is a deep dark part. You should be feeling something, but then we throw humor in and we alleviate the tension. I don't want that tension alleviated. I want a whole movie where I'm like, I want that process to unfold.
Well, we also know that Brie Larson's Captain Marvel is coming out soon. Yeah. Soonish. What role do you think she'll play? She was obviously alluded to at the post-credits sequence in Infinity War where Samuel L. Jackson motherfuckers his way out of existence and then drops the pager where he's calling Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Marvel's going to be this is going to be an origin story with Captain Marvel and then her taking Captain on the mantle.
Captain Marvel, yeah, absolutely. But the movie takes place in the 90s, which BT dubs I'm super stoked on.
Oh, absolutely.
But a lot of people think it's going to deal with the Skrull, the secret invasion.
Or allude to it.
To maybe be...
Because you need the Avengers to have the secret invasion.
Yeah, so maybe the secret invasion will be the next thing that the Avengers deal with. But yeah, I think so. A lot of people think it might have to do with the Skrull. I'm actually really excited to see what they do with Captain Marvel. I knew nothing of Captain Marvel prior to this. Still don't know a lot about her, but what I do know is she's the most powerful of all of the Avengers and mutants. Okay. In the comics. So obviously by paging her and then by tying that in, her movie's going to establish her as this ridiculously OP character. Yeah. Probably the only one that could easily defeat Thanos. So is what I think will probably play into part 2.
That sounds reasonable. I'm on board with you.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
I wonder if the thing I'm looking forward to with her movie and these other movies is I want to see some tie-in characters development. So what I want to see is some characters being introduced in her movie that will play a part besides her in, this coming back. I expected to see, some top level characters be introduced, like maybe Silver Surfer and a couple others, and maybe Nova working his way in. And I didn't see any of that, and I'm not disappointed. I thought the movie was brilliant.
Well, we don't know what Phase 4 has in store. We could still see those things. Still really hoping for somehow, some way, a MCU version of X-Men.
Absolutely. I'm ready for it. And I don't
think we're going to see it, though.
Do you need an origin, or do you just want to jump right in?
I think they treat it just like Spider-Man, where origins established, we don't need it. Just jump right in to them existing. But the problem is we've still got the Dark Phoenix movie that is still coming out.
God. Just let it die.
With this new fucked up timeline and the Fox version of X-Men that makes no sense. That's still happening. It's filmed. It's in post-production now. It's coming out. So the fact that that's still coming out, you need at least a couple of years between movies for the transition in an audience mind, like we had with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then we had a few years, and then we had Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yep.
You can't just come out with an X-Men movie and in the next year have a reboot of X-Men. It's just not going to work
agree.
for consumers.
I have a message for Fox.
They're going to be listening and
yes,
watching.
Fox
for
is
sure.
watching. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Seriously.
You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. Yeah, so I don't, as much as I want to see X-Men, I don't think we will because they're still trying to fucking polish goddamn turds up in that bitch. I don't get it.
I'm ready for an X-Men, but
not to mention
we
just saw those X-Men's in Deadpool, albeit for 4 seconds.
A little bit. Well, I was talking to my brother, and maybe it was you, or maybe it was my brother. I don't know who it is, but someone said that scene was interesting. He wondered if there was a certain finality to that, if it was like the X-Men saying goodbye and shutting the door.
Like we would like that to be, but it's not. Yeah. That's not how it's going to be, especially when they've got another movie coming out.
Yeah,
they're not just going to pretend this movie doesn't exist. It's going to come out. They're going to market the snot out of it and try to squeeze every dollar they have out of it before whatever paperwork gets signed for Fox to be.
The thing that bothers me about it is that it's the Phoenix Saga, which it's going to be awful. That's what I want to see the MCU do. I want to see
and it's
X-Men
funny because
in space.
They've already done the Phoenix Saga once before and failed at it, and now they're doing it again. And it's going to be a bad movie. There's no doubt about it. You cannot convince me that these will be a good movie. They have not made a good X-Men movie in ever. I mean, there was a time when I thought the X-Men movies were dope because I had no frame of reference to the MCU.
To what they could be.
Now I see what they could be and what they can do with these characters and what these characters can be like when they're absolutely true to the source materials. And now when I look back on the movies, they're awful. The fucking X-Men, X2 United, and X3, of course, has always been terrible. God. And even First Class and all these new rebooted timeline movies that don't make sense time-wise. I don't.
There's no vision.
They're not good. Apocalypse was goddamn terrible. Completely terrible.
It was rough. It was tough to make it through.
The only shining point in there was Logan and Wolverine. He was the best part of those movies. Absolutely. Even though he himself has stumbled, like with Origins and stuff. But thankfully, Ryan Reynolds cleaned up that timeline.
He did. Yeah. Thank God for time travel.
We'll talk about that. But there's Logan's now. That was a 2016 movie. He's been dead now. So they could effectively, probably by 2019, reintroduce the Wolverine character and audiences be okay with it. You know, it'll give people had time to grieve. What's his name?
Wolverine?
No, the guy, the actor.
Oh, Jack Human. Or Hugh Jackman. He is a human.
Yes, he is a human. Okay, so Hugh Jackman, people have had time to mourn him hanging up the mantle, and maybe he'll be more accepting of someone that will be like, oh, fuck yeah, this is totally Wolverine.
Yeah.
Once you see whatever Marvel Studios picks for Wolverine casting-wise, that's the thing, is they nail casting. They always have.
Dude, yeah.
They nail casting. So whoever they pick to be, we'll see it. It will be like, oh, Hugh Jackman sucks. That's how it's going to be. But I think we've got a lot of time before we see that, which sucks.
Okay. Gotcha.
However, while Fox shits on their version of the X-Men and things, they do R-rated superhero movies very well.
Yes.
So Logan was fantastic. Deadpool was fantastic. Deadpool 2 just came out last week at the time of filming this, and I've seen it twice now. It's great. It's really fantastic. It's just excellent. And there's problems with it being excellent, and we'll talk about those. But let's talk about Deadpool now. Let's shift over.
Okay, Deadpool it is.
Let's talk about where I think the problems are going to lie, since we're in the middle of discussing this.
Yeah.
Because Deadpool is the best thing that Fox has going for them in terms of superhero movies.
Absolutely.
Like, because we know Venom's going to suck hard, even though it's going to be rated R. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work because we have such a well-established Spider-Man universe with the MCU. It doesn't even make sense to me. How can you have the Venom, be like, here's Venom, who is in the Spider-Man universe, but not in the MCU Spider-Man universe? Like, why are they trying to confuse fucking casual moviegoers as much as possible. It's completely baffling. It will never make sense to me. The movie's going to fucking suck dick because it's going to have, that's Sony. That's fucking Sony. That's not even Fox.
That's not
fucking
even
Sony.
Fox, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Everybody's too many cooks in the kitchen with these
Absolutely.
rights. With these rights.
Perfect
But anyway,
way to put it.
but Deadpool is great. And the problem is it's so great that also it's not in the same universe as the MCU. Colossus is an excellent X-Man. Mm-hmm. He's almost an MCU-ish X-Men. Mm-hmm. He's what you would expect Marvel Studios to do with a Colossus character.
Yeah.
And now we have that problem is it's still two different studios. Now, of course, Disney's bought Fox, so they could work it in to the MCU. But now where it's like, how will you take this already successful, wonderful Deadpool iteration and not change it and work it into a new X-Men universe in the MCU eventually, with it working seamlessly with the rest of your movies? And the confusion is too much for my mind to bear.
My opinion, based
Please.
on, and this is based on Star Wars, the way that they cut ties with the extended universe, there's no way that they're not going to cut all ties. The Ryan Reynolds actor, they can't have him, they can't pull him back in. They probably won't even revisit Deadpool as a character unless it's in the distant future.
But that's the thing is Deadpool is such a successful movie.
Mm-hmm. But
there's no
the
way
format
that
is what's successful. Ryan Reynolds.
I know, but there's no way that they wouldn't want to capitalize on subsequent sequels.
But
You think
even
they're
if
just going to say no to those money bags?
Yeah, I do.
You
I
do?
think that it's too like it's anathema to the formula that the MCU runs on, to the formula that Disney runs on. Disney, while embracing, some new ideologies and concepts, are not going to embrace this really raunchy, nasty humor. I just don't see it.
No, you're probably right.
And then confusing everyone and like making a connection between the old movies and the new ones by casting Ryan Reynolds in there, and I just don't see it.
It would be crazy, and you're probably
Be so
right. There would be
confusing.
no way to tie an R rating into the MCU.
Yeah,
Especially here's where it would be extremely confusing: is say they do, and you've got Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. These serious moments that have been established now for 10 years and over nearing 20 plus movies. Mm-hmm. They introduce Deadpool and he starts breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It'd be very strange.
That
It'd be
would not work.
So out of fucking
it would
place.
be like, wait, what? That's like an entirely different branch of humor.
Yeah. So I think you're probably right. I think that will steer clear from Deadpool in the MCU. But then how will they continue to make Deadpool movies and just have this weird other version of X-Men running around? It just doesn't.
You think they'll capitalize on Deadpool? Because what we have here is we still have an incredibly dense pile of characters to pull on.
There's the
you think that
Deadpool
Deadpool
1
is
and
in their
Deadpool 2
vision?
has made so much money. I can't imagine that they wouldn't make a Deadpool 3.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It depends.
Yeah.
Do they own Deadpool?
Well, they own Fox's IPs.
Okay.
Which,
They're just on loan.
Like they own like Simpsons and stuff now. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know there's a lot of intricacies here, but I'm pretty sure they own Deadpool now.
Okay.
Somehow.
Yeah. Maybe they'll choose to do it, but their best bet would be to, if they're going to put X-Men off that far, then there's no reason. I mean, those movies make good cash.
They could continue to do Deadpool and just not incorporate X-Men anymore.
Yeah. That's
They
possible.
could, I guess. I don't know. The whole thing really fucks with me when I try to think about the different universes. It's like, just stop being bitches and just
let go.
Combine things. Let the people who do it right just take a chunk. Well, it doesn't matter now because now they own Fox. They can fucking do anything they want.
Yeah.
All they got to do is buy like a couple more studios and everything will be a Disney movie.
Yeah, it'll be all Disney.
Anyway, but let's talk about the Deadpool. What stuck out to you? What did you love?
It was just really funny. I know I'm jumping ahead, but my favorite thing about the movie was the closing credit post credit scene.
It's absolutely the best part of the movie, hands down. Shit. Did you? What did you think when you saw like the fucking door opening.
And it was freaking, it was Deadpool from X-Men Origins.
Yeah.
Oh my God. my heart was singing. I wanted to stand up and clap my hands. Yeah. Okay. So
I want to know because I knew it was coming because I read
Yeah.
about it before, but you had no idea.
I basically wanted to stand up and give like a standing ovation. I could not be more thrilled. That was a new level of breaking awareness. That I loved it. And it was really satisfying, and he did not stop shooting. He just kept on shooting.
He's like, I'm just cleaning up timelines.
Yeah. Oh God.
And then he kills Ryan Reynolds before he reads the Green Lantern.
That's why they want their ring back. Warner Brothers that was great.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Hands down the best post-credit sequence of any superhero film of all time.
Absolutely.
Things that I enjoyed about Deadpool. One, I really enjoyed Juggernaut.
God, yes.
He was just awesome.
His theme song was amazing.
Holy shit. Yeah. Juggernaut was fantastic. Also voiced by Ryan Reynolds, which I think was funny. I did the previous X-Men movies, their version of Deadpool, who was just the bullet-toothed Tony actor.
Yeah. Or their version of Juggernaut.
I'm sorry, Juggernaut didn't ever resonate as cool to me. Juggernaut, in my mind's eye, was always just larger than life.
Yeah.
With his cool helmet. And we got that, and it was excellent. And he fucking ripped him in half.
Dude,
and that was like probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Because for a while there, I was concerned that it wasn't going to be as violent as I wanted it to be. Because like in the beginning, when he's montaging killing all those guys, and he's like in that Hong Kong room, and he cuts off their hands and heads. Like I was like, I want more blood. Like there needs to be more blood. And then I was like, thank you. There's my satisfaction.
Thank God for Juggernaut.
Yeah. So Juggernaut was excellent. I really enjoyed a lot of the supporting cast. I thought Domino was fantastic.
Dude, Domino was
something
awesome.
about her was
Brilliant.
like just stupid sexy to me. Like
Yeah,
I was like,
she's a good-looking woman.
She's a good looking woman, and the way she was just portrayed was great. I love that they finally made her a person of color, because I know in the comics she's quite literally white as fuck.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I'm not super familiar with the character, so I really dug her powers, just being lucky, and
Dude,
I love how
she just being a badass.
I love how they just portrayed that in the film with just different things. This Vanisher, I thought it was an excellent point of comedy when you just briefly see that it's
freaking Brad Pitt.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things we didn't even discuss. I think the movie had an excellent soundtrack.
Yeah.
A lot of 80s songs in there, so immediately I'm there.
Naturally.
But I think that there's parts in the movie, because I think surprisingly the movie had a lot of heart that we've talked about
It
that
did.
it really didn't deserve to have, given what kind of character Deadpool is. But I think that it was a right amount of like feelings, that he had, especially for his hot as fuck girlfriend that got killed. But when at the end of the movie, when he dies and he's finally able to reunite with her, and they're playing the acoustic version of Take On Me, I was like, that really resurrects a certain amount of feels that I'm really enjoying right now. It was very emotional. Like just that the song, I was like, the soundtrack is great, because that's what soundtracks should do, is elicit songs or emotions, especially with the Juggernaut. Excellent. Tyler Bates killed it, putting together the songs and the soundtrack. Really good stuff.
Soundtrack was on.
It was Guardians of the Galaxy good, I think. Call me cray. It
was appropriate. Like, Guardians hit the notes just right with their music, and I think Deadpool did too.
Agreed.
I really enjoyed Deadpool. The humor was spot on. What did you think of the legs?
Okay, so effects-wise, baby leg moment was probably the worst in terms of CG.
Yeah.
But it was totally fine, because it was... The problem is like, they ran into the issue where they were reusing jokes.
Yeah.
I noticed on my second viewing, there was a lot of stuff, because we watched it the first time last week, and then I rewatched the first movie, and then I saw it again yesterday. And I was like, oh, they're like rehashing jokes.
Yeah.
But they were it was like fine. It was like funny. But like the beginning of the first Deadpool with the credits, written by the real heroes here, and shit like that. And then in this movie, they kill the girlfriend, and it's like written by the real villains. So it's like the same jokes, but slightly different.
Yeah.
And so Baby Hand is now Baby Legs with Baby Dick, shirt cocking it.
Yeah.
But it was very funny. It was still fine. Let's talk about Josh Brolin as Cable.
Oh, I loved him. I thought it was great.
Was really good.
Yeah.
We knew Cable was coming from the post-credits sequence of Deadpool 1. Not who I thought they would cast, but I was totally all for it.
They gave a nod to that.
I know, yeah. Very small in terms of comic Deadpool, or Cable.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh Brolin knocking it out of the park. He was great. There was a couple parts in the movie that I thought were like just a bit too too rushed. Like,
gotcha.
The end where
Yeah.
he's like, okay, I'm going to use my second thing to go back and save you.
And then they montage that shit. In fact, they don't even quite montage
They don't,
it.
but it's like
montage.
they go to the fast forward effect through it.
Yeah.
But it was also just like Colossus is there once Deadpool's dying, just fucking take his collar off, you know?
Yeah.
You don't got to use up your other thing. It's like just weird movie decisions that, honestly, the one thing I wasn't really into was the kid. The
kid from the Wilder Things movie, the New Zealander kid, Fire Fist.
Is that where he's from?
He's from something else.
The Wild Things? Where the Wild Things roam?
No, different movie.
Okay. I don't know. I wasn't into his performance. I wasn't into his character.
Yeah.
Didn't do much for me.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
He was fine. I don't dislike him. I like how derpy the Fire Fist thing was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, there was likable moments of him, but I think he was the weakest link.
There was a few. That movie, though, it was funny. The whole comment with pedophiles with nurse shoes.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing about that.
I wanted to see more of Negasonic and Yukio.
Yeah, me too. I would love to
Hey, hi, Wade.
get a
Hi,
bigger
Yukio.
dose. Yeah.
So I would have loved to see more of them, but, what can you do?
Yeah.
The Fox can only afford so many X-Men.
But so where do you stand with the movie overall?
I like it much better than the first.
Yeah.
Now that I've recently watched both of them, and I thought it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
So I will be sad if we don't get to see more Deadpool, as confusing it will be.
Yeah.
The further we get with the MCU. But it was excellent, and I'm looking forward to seeing it a third time.
Cool.
But let's talk about something different.
Yeah.
What did we just do before we sat down to record this podcast, Gordy?
Let's see. What did we do? What have we done today? Did we go see?
We went and saw a movie. So we are now caught up in all 10, if you can imagine it, Star Wars movies.
Yes.
We went and saw Solo.
So
Preface this. This is the first Star Wars movie in
our lifetimes.
our capable lifetimes that we didn't see it opening night. We didn't camp out for it. We didn't make an event of it.
Yeah.
We were like, let's wait.
Let's wait.
We waited a couple days. We went and saw it as of recording this is Sunday. Came out on Thursday night.
Yeah. Weird, huh?
Super weird. And we've been waiting to discuss it all day. So let's just dig into the discussion.
Okay.
Did you like it?
That's a tough question to answer. So, I have gripes. I have things I liked about it.
Now, to be fair, totally okay to have gripes. Now, I know we always have very unique Star Wars discussions because we're always on different spectrums.
Yeah.
Though we fully agree in part mostly on The Last Jedi, but I think this film's totally fine to have gripes because the movie in itself is a gripe in its existence. Why? That's the thing. The movie from its inception, I was like, but why? Why do I need to see where Han Solo came from? That's not the stories that I want Disney to be telling. It's not the stories they should be telling, but it's the story we got. And there was things about the movie that I really enjoyed. There was things about the movie that I did not enjoy.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about them.
Okay.
I don't know where to begin with this. This is such an interesting subject.
Overall impression for me, and then we'll get yours. Overall impression is that this is, it had good things and it had bad things, and I'm left in a neutral position walking out of the theater.
Okay. Let's break it down with this. The biggest concern everyone had was the casting of Han Solo with Alden.
Dude, the best part of the movie almost.
I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
I thought he did a really good job.
Yep.
In fact, there was moments where I was like, that's a fucking Harrison Fordy thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he did a really good job. Everyone's fears were completely unfounded with that.
He's not Harrison Ford.
He's not Harrison Ford, and he never will be, but he was Han Solo. That's what was important. He did really well. Donald Glover did a great job as Lando. There was, in
they
fact,
each had those moments, didn't they?
There was moments when I even leaned over to you at one point. I was like, "Hey, that sounded just like Lando."
Yeah.
Just the way they delivered lines and stuff. They did it. The actors did an excellent job with what they had. My beef was not with them.
Yeah,
my beef
absolutely.
was with the story. Really was.
There's a couple elements too that you could pull right out of the movie that would make it instantly better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the robot.
Oh,
just pulling
man.
her right out of that movie.
She was not.
She was.
There was no. K2SO was a fantastic snarky robot. We didn't need another snarky robot that couldn't deliver up at least to that point,
to that level,
with the 5 minutes of screen time that she had.
Yeah.
Just a useless character. I thought the dynamic of becoming close with Beckett and Solo was just really missed the mark.
Rushed.
Though I liked Harrison Ford. I think he did. I love Harrison Ford.
Well, yes,
no, I
do.
love Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Harrelson? What the fuck is his name? Woody Harrelson. Not Harrison. Anyway, motherfucker did a fine job with what he was given. He's always really good at movies. But I felt like the chemistry, while they had okay chemistry, they didn't have enough to work with. They were like just instantly close.
Yeah.
The passage of time, I think, was problematic.
I think that. So my biggest gripes are robot, all of the dynamics that were attached to the thread of the robot. And then my biggest gripe, I think, besides the music, is the element of the movie. Han Solo, when we meet Han Solo, he's an established character with a backstory that is mysterious to us. He is very negative and pessimistic. Luke Skywalker, is like, oh, that's sad that you think this way, and the world's a great place.
He's a very large pessimist. It's very cynical.
And so he had an established character. In this movie, what I needed from it is to see either his spirit be crushed or already crushed, and him to have a certain behavior. He's not a hero yet. We need to have this kind of person develop into a scoundrel that doesn't necessarily do what's right, so that his redemption in Empire and becoming a general is a big deal. And we didn't get that. We have an arc within the movie that undermines everything that came after. And that tugged at my feels.
It's interesting. I think that you could not be more correct. And it's very infuriating from where the movie came from, because Lawrence Kasdan should have a better understanding of the character, as he's written him like 4 times.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is Han Solo ended with Han Solo being a hero.
Yeah.
And while Han Solo should always have the characteristics deep down of being a good person, he should have been crushed by the end of this movie to lead to the pessimistic, cynical person we have not but a decade later in A New Hope.
Yeah.
That's where the movie should have ended off. That's where I thought it would end off. Before it came out, I was like, surely they'll kill off the Kira character and Woody Harrelson in some way that will leave him untrusting and devastated. And he won't love it again until he meets
and not
Princess
only
Leia.
that, but not only that devastating pessimist, but also being a person that chooses to be selfish. And he didn't choose to be selfish in this movie. He helped them.
Yeah. Yeah. Without even any hesitation.
Exactly.
So I think that they were trying to convey, when Kira pieced out on her weird party yacht.
Yeah.
After she killed Dryden Voss, her leaving and Han Solo watching her fly away, I think was supposed to convey him being betrayed and left. Yeah. And now he's like, oh, fuck these people, fuck women or whatever. But it did not come across that way. It wasn't portrayed that way, because then he's a scoundrel with a heart of gold already. We want to see that gold be dug out by Leia. Yeah, exactly. That's right. It undermines Leia's character, because that was supposed to be who essentially saved him from this life of smugglery that he's drifted into. So that was, I think, the movie's biggest flaw. A lot of the plot points that led to where we are at.
And it's another Disney flaw that reaches out into all of the content around it and like affects all the other movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Big flaw there. but no slight against Alden and Karen.
Not at all.
They did great with what they had. On the flip side of that, though, I was happy to see a significant amount of character. I wouldn't say development, but at least screen time for Chewbacca.
Dude, okay, you're right. In terms of positive character development, besides Han shooting first, that was a nice nod.
Yeah,
and I was
nice
very
nod.
happy about that. Chewbacca, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy. Seeing Chewbacca in the last two Star Wars movies was kind of sad for me because I love Chewbacca, and he was basically left out in the rain twice.
Well, I think he was okay.
He was an Uber
in
driver in the last movie.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm talking about Force Awakens.
Oh,
I
Force
think he
Awakens.
was fine in Force Awakens, but he got shafted
Underused.
at the end when Leia's fucking brushed him off to the side.
Oh my God, my poor heart to hug Rey.
But I think that like he had some decent moments. I think he was utilized okay. He was completely underutilized in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Just to the point of just disgust.
Yeah.
And so I was very happy to see that he got some time to do
center
Chewbacca
stage in this movie. Loved it.
In fact, the best scenes with him.
He had chemistry somehow.
Yeah, and when he met Han,
Yeah.
and Han starts talking to him in Wookiee, I was like, "That's good.
That was
That's
great.
Funny. Yeah,
that was
it's
wonderful.
excellent.
Charming.
However, the problem is I guess they're retconning this, but there was no life debt that Chewie owed to Han. That was always within the storyline. That the reason he's been with Han all these years is because he owes him a life debt.
Yeah, and in
and
the
I
extended
suppose-
universe, he was much younger when he met him.
And I suppose that, I guess that's still conveyed, is Han Solo did save him, and Chewie conveys that by choosing not to go with the Wookiees and to stay with Han.
Yeah.
But it's never verbalized or touched upon that he's doing so in terms of because it's Wookiee tradition to
So
have the life debt.
here's a beautiful thing about Japanese cinema. And it comes from those kabuki plays, right? Which are inspired by ukiyo-e, which is woodblock prints that captured a single moment. And during a kabuki play, like when something, a poignant part that you're supposed to know about happens, like they might hit the two wood blocks together and everyone on stage, freezes. And they're like, this is where you're supposed to feel this way. This is meaningful. So they have these punctuated moments. There were a bunch of moments that should have been punctuated in this movie that just like that moment right there when he made that decision. It was nuance, and if you weren't completely invested in the character, it just went whoosh.
Casual viewers that have only seen Star Wars movies and don't know what's happening with Han and Chewie and what has happened in different extended universes, you wouldn't have picked up on that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was able to deduce that because of the history we have of Star Wars, but Joe Blow won't be like, he just wants to go smuggle.
And that could have been a very poignant moment to a lot of people if they had kind of just thought about it a little deeper and played it out differently. But, and that's a little disappointing. But for me, because I have that connection with it, it was still fine.
Let's talk about fanboy service.
Yeah.
There was a lot of it in this movie that I'm always fine with fan service. So the Jarek board, great callback to when Chewie hits the board. And
exactly. And
something you probably don't know or notice, but when he hits the board, a piece of it sparks, causing the piece to disappear, which in A New Hope pulls up and that piece is not on the board because Chewie broke it in that scene. So cool stuff like that. I love shit like that.
That's wonderful.
Little mini Easter eggs. I like the Kira is her fighting style is Terraskasi.
Yeah, the
I was
game,
like,
dude.
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because that was a terrible game, but it was awesome.
I loved it.
It was fun.
When it was
really
out,
fun.
it was
I think
great.
we love it through rose-colored glasses. I think if we go to play it now, it would be not very good.
But then what holds up,
True. Mortal Kombat 2 holds up forever. So that was awesome. Some very, very deep cut references that even I wouldn't have known about unless I had read about it. But so you saw obviously the idol from Indiana Jones.
Dude, I saw that idol.
And it was there, like a ton of scenes.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't miss it. But above that, I'm sure you noticed a big blue crystal skull that was sitting on the table.
I didn't. And here's why.
Maybe because you weren't looking for it.
Because things that I hate just maybe disappear.
It wasn't.
Maybe I can't see them.
That's not what it was a reference to.
What is it?
It's a reference. It's a huge human blue skull.
Oh, okay.
It's a reference to one of the novels from the 80s that Han and Lando go on a mission to find this giant blue skull. And it's like, I'll show it to you in a little bit, but that's it's a reference to that.
Okay.
And see, that's the type of references I was telling you. I was like, there's going to be stuff in this movie that had I not read about it, it wouldn't have caught it.
I don't know.
But there was
about
that.
it.
The Mandalorian armor that was in Dryden Voss's room. I'm sure you saw that.
Yep.
He had a Sith holocron over on the other side of the room that was like barely there.
I didn't see that.
It was really
That's cool.
All of that, the dice that tie into A New Hope and then again in The Last Jedi. I thought that was fine.
The dice was fine, but like I think they left it open ended, like I said, because we don't know where the dice came from.
We don't know where the dice came from.
It doesn't answer that question.
No, not at all. And that's fine. The whole movie was questions that were answered that I didn't need answers to.
Yeah.
I don't need answers to the dice. That's fine. I can speculate on that like I've always done with Han Solo. The Sabacc games were really fun. Here's one thing they did fantastic work with, and hats off to Ron Howard for doing this. There was very, very little CGI creatures.
Yeah.
They were all practical creatures. The only CGI creature that I can think of was the co-pilot guy, the little monkey guy that gets shot. He was a CGI. But everything else was a practical effect. A practical creature that was there. The fucking big thing on Corellia that comes out of the swamp that he's working for or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a real puppet. The puppets were there. All the puppets that Lando was surrounding with at the Sabacc table, those were all real puppets and dudes in masks. And that's the type of shit that I'm like, that's cool.
And wasn't that like the aesthetic of the movie was spot on?
Oh, the aesthetic was super Star Wars.
And when you walked into that room and you saw Lando surrounded by all those scoundrel, like that was great. That was one of the moments that evoked feeling.
And it's interesting because it's funny because both of the standalone Star Wars story films have felt more Star Wars than the episodic Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Force Awakens, of course, felt very Star Wars to me because it was basically just a remake of Star Wars: A New Hope.
And it had a great score.
But Rogue One and now Solo just really captured the grit of a lived-in universe.
Yeah.
So that was cool. The Millennium Falcon didn't play as much of a character role as I thought it would. But it's still cool. It was interesting to see it become the Millennium Falcon we all know and love. That was all fine to watch. I want to talk about it. We got to talk about it. I want to talk about Darth Maul.
Okay.
We told you at the start of this is spoilers. You did this to yourself if you didn't know Darth Maul was in this movie.
Yeah.
I knew prior to going to see this because I fucking eat spoilers like it's breakfast. But Darth Maul, do you need me to unlock that for you?
No, reach over there and you can't do it.
Bring it to me. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Darth Maul makes a surprise appearance at the end of this movie and at the tail end of Act 3 after she kills Dryden Voss. Turns out that all along, Kira and Dryden Voss have been working for Darth Maul in canon with what has been happening on just say no.
Decline?
Yeah.
Wow. I feel so dirty pressing decline.
Yeah.
Okay. Dryden Voss?
This is in canon. There's a lot to talk about with Darth Maul. This is going to confuse a great many people because to the casual viewer, they've gone and only seen the movies. This fucking figure's going to pop up on screen. They're going to be lean over to their wife and be like, didn't that guy get cut in half?
Yeah.
You know? And
wait. Back up. Say that one more time.
Didn't that guy get cut in half?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. What are you referencing?
He got totally cut in half.
Yeah.
So casual viewers are going to be confused if they don't watch the animated.
If you didn't watch Clone Wars, which why would you if you're like a casual fan, and if you didn't watch Rebels, you'd have no idea that Darth Maul survived his fall into the pit and then used his hatred in the dark side to survive and got cybernetic legs and spider legs and became a criminal underworld lord.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that. But seeing it in the film, you're like, fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Fuck yeah! That's was very exciting for me. In fact, was the crowning moment for that whole film for me because Darth Maul is one of my favorite characters. he was the most underused character. He got the biggest shaft of every character in Star Wars history, except for Boba Fett, which I will get into that here in a bit. I think they're going to fix that too. But now and the biggest fear is Disney ignoring the prequels?
Yeah. There you go.
No, they're not.
They're not.
They're not.
They're
and
incorporating
they are incorporating it in the most surprising way possible, because that was the ballsiest move to be, because they know surely that they're going to confuse some moviegoers. So that was a complete ballsy move.
When I saw, it shows like a hologram pop up, and then I saw a robotic leg and a hood, and I was like my brain, I knew instantly. I was like, Maul, but like, it was so weird. It was like having a seizure because it was so unexpected. I was
I glanced over at you to see if you had any type of like
Did you
physical,
see?
and you were just like, and I was like, he's either like just
I'm having a seizure.
Yeah, dude. Also super cool because Ray Park got to reprise the role. Sam Witwer, who has been voicing Darth Maul in Clone Wars and in Rebels, got to do the lines. Really cool to see them bridge the two actors that are most well known for Darth Maul. I mean, Sam Witwer is Darth Maul through and through because he's voiced him in the Clone Wars, and he's been Darth Maul way more times than Ray Park ever has.
Yeah.
But the physicality of Darth Maul is Ray Park.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see the motherfucker getting some work.
Yeah.
Now, here is the elephant in the room. This illusion of Darth Maul popping up, where he even references Clone Wars. Come and visit me on Dathomir. Dathomir is where, with the Night Sister and where his people come from. It's a very deep storyline, probably the best storyline in Clone Wars. Fucking nerd boner all around. Come see me on Dathomir. So it's right in the canon of Clone Wars. But it was very like, okay, we'll see you in the next movie. You can't just fucking sprinkle Darth Maul in there, especially with the notion of we're going to do more Darth Maul stuff and not come back. But here's the thing, is I think Disney's shooting themselves in the foot, because in the cartoons, you had Darth Maul come back with an excellent arc in the Clone Wars with Savage Opress and facing off against Darth Sidious. His brother gets killed. He goes through this huge arc, comes back in Rebels with this huge arc on a hunt for Obi-Wan and the Sith holocrons and things. Finally finds Obi-Wan on Tatooine. It's old Obi-Wan. And they have an incredibly emotional standoff that's very samurai film. He's dead. Send off. Darth Maul dies. His final death. Learning about Luke Skywalker. It's an incredibly powerful moment that fucking should have been a movie that they've now already done in a cartoon, that now begs the question, what are they going to do because here's the thing, they are heavily rumored that they are moving forward with an Obi-Wan movie and a Boba Fett movie. The Boba Fett movie is almost all but confirmed with James Mangold of Logan doing it. And then the Obi-Wan movie I think we're going to hear confirmation of that at Celebration. Or even before that, Celebration's not until next year. How the fuck are you going to do an Obi-Wan movie and have introduced Darth Maul and either A, not retcon the cartoon, which would be breaking canon completely, which would be very strange and out of character for them to do. Or do something that is also out of character, do a cinematic version of that exact same sequence.
I don't know how they're going to do it.
Weird. So I don't know, because I can't believe that they're not going to bring back Darth Maul in some sense of the word. Because also, while I was pooping upstairs before we started recording, there was an interview with Ray Park, and he seemed to allude very heavily that he is coming back and in an Obi-Wan film.
In an Obi-Wan film? See, I'd be fine with him not being in the Obi-Wan film. I want to see Kira and the underworld. See, at least so I've read some of the expanded universe, and thinking back, at least two of them touched base on the underworld. It's a big part of the Star Wars canon, or uncanon, I guess. So I think it would be great to see some of that underworld craziness, some more of it, without legacy characters, because every moment a legacy character's on screen is more chance for Disney to kind of
fucking fox it up,
screw it up,
make it fox it up for sure with weird fucking
weird
timelines
stuff.
and shit and inconsistencies. That's the thing. Star Wars has always had pretty decent consistencies. Actually, that's not true at all. They've had terrible consistencies with fucking A New Hope. Oh, Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father.
Yeah.
BT, just kidding. Your father was Darth Vader. So, sure. But they could play it in a way.
But in a way, I mean, that line played off really well when because he didn't want to tell him what really happened.
I think
he lied.
I mean, he was trying to protect Luke from his feelings and whatnot. I totally get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's like bugging me most. I'm like, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now, Disney? Like, what are you going to do?
How about some new stuff, Disney? I mean, I'm okay with
You're
Obi-Wan.
going to get new stuff, but you're not going to like it because it's going to be Rian Johnson. That's the new stuff that you're going to get.
Well,
Rian Johnson's trilogy is a whole...
Let's skirt back so that we don't have to talk about Rian Johnson and sully this whole experience. And I'm going to call him Rian. Just in case, Rian. What do you think about we'll side back to Solo, but really, I'm just dying to know a Boba Fett movie.
Oh yeah. Oh,
what
it's
do you
happening.
think?
Yeah, I'm all for it. Because I think James Mangold's the shit. And let me tell you this, and it's not going to happen. Of course, it's not going to happen, but it could happen. Mm-hmm. What if they did an R-rated Star Wars movie?
Oh shit. Well, I'd be down with it.
Because if they did a super dark, gritty Boba Fett bounty hunter movie with not like fucking cursing and shit like that, but straight like violence, killing and stuff, it'd be weird. I don't know. Like, would it be weird? Like, I'm always for violence and R ratings, but when it comes to Star Wars, an R rating is like, oh, I don't. That's weird.
Yeah, it's like a bizarre taste in your mouth.
Probably not, because James Mangold, they're not going to do an R-rated movie, but they could do a very heavy PG-13 movie. Yep. I think it's really cool. I think he did a great job with Logan. If they can redeem the character of Boba Fett, who has basically went out like a bitch since 1983 and then came back as a young bitch in 2002.
Yeah.
He really has he
hasn't had his moment.
Popularity he has, I think, is really kind of
unmerited. Everybody saw him and they're like, "Who's this?"
He just looks so fucking cool.
I don't think it's unmerited. I think that came down to the imagination. Like, can you imagine back in the 70s when they first showed Boba Fett and they're like, "Who is this guy?" So he got built up, and he's a very mysterious character. And there's really only one way they can do this movie to make me happy. And that's not make it an origin story. Just have Boba Fett being a badass Boba Fett killing folks.
That's the thing, is you already saw the origins of Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Like, though, that was his origin. He then became Boba Fett.
Exactly, but I don't need more of him developing. I just want to see him go out there kicking ass and being the Boba Fett that everyone wants him to be.
Here's the only way they could do it is if they have it post Episode 3, between 3 and 4, him working for Darth Vader and the Emperor doing shit, and it's younger Boba Fett. Or on the flip side, it's post Episode 6, and you get one of two things. You see him escaping Sarlacc pit, going on missions, or you see someone discover Boba Fett's armor and take the mantle of Boba Fett.
Oh, interesting.
That's a way it could go that would be upsetting. But
let's circle back to Solo.
Yeah, Solo. But it's okay because I had Boba Fett movie on the list.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, good. We covered it. Check that one off. So I want to gripe real quick.
Yeah.
So the movie had a few moments in it. And before I get to the gripe, I'm building into it. The Kessel Run was my favorite part of the movie. Even though it was short, it had something, it had some magic to it where he's shooting, he's on the gun and they're flying, and we hear the asteroid field theme from the original trilogy and Empire, to be exact. And it was magical.
Yeah.
It was a magical few seconds.
It was Star Wars as fuck.
And I felt like I was watching a Star Wars movie for a little bit, and I was so thrilled to get that feeling, even for an instant.
The Kessel Run was real cool. Score-wise, I thought it was interesting that they brought back that theme that the cue that they just reused in the Last Jedi. The bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. They did that again, and I was like, you're reusing that cue again in the movie that just came out 5 months later.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But it's fine because I love it.
But so my biggest gripe with this, with Rogue One, is also in this, and it's the score. It's like, I feel like Disney, called up and they're like, we need a score. And they're like, well, we're spending all this money. And so they're like, well, why don't you go to a royalty-free website and hire one of them? And like they call them up. Oh, this is my big thing because it's like
now's my time.
It's like it's royalty-free generic.
It's not good. It's not good. And that's Star Wars has been lacking in quality soundtracks in a while.
And The Force Awakens, I felt was super weak, but it is
but it grew on
light years ahead of these other scores.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because John Williams wrote Han Solo's theme for this movie. It's the first time Han Solo had a theme. He wrote it. And of course, it was performed by the other guy. I can't think of his name, and he wrote the rest of the score. But it's funny. I can't even begin to tell you what Han Solo's theme was. Like it was as forgettable as you could even imagine.
And the man is. I mean, they basically have to reanimate him to like make the movie. So to do this score, so
he just wrote the theme. though. He didn't do the score. Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, if you look at like Hayao Miyazaki, who works for Studio Ghibli in Japan, in an interview once said, "I'm getting old," and he said, "As you get older, some of the poignancy and there's certain things that you can't do anymore." And he said, "I need to make." It was before he made Mononoke Hime. He's like, "I won't want to do violent movies when I'm older. I'm changing," and I think that the prime of John Williams is he's out of his prime, and what appeals to him and what's beautiful to him is not super like punchy, powerful music like he did back in the day.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm ready for them to. I want that punch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. But you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it for Episode 9, which is his last movie.
Is
coincidentally, his last Star Wars movie.
I mean,
it's going to be fine. I think he's really going to give it his all, but I think it's just going to be the only parts that we're going to like about the score are going to be the reused cues from older movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't know if you picked it up.
I didn't hear Duel of the Fates or anything like that during that part.
When he's there, you hear the first dun 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 dun. Just like piano. It was really cool.
Very, very light.
Yeah, very light. But I was like, so those are my thoughts on Solo. Yeah. It was fine. It was fun to watch. Completely unnecessary, but there were elements of it that. Do I like it better than The Last Jedi? I think that's a question for another time, because I have very upset with Last Jedi. I'm in the camp of didn't care for it, but of course
you went through a huge transformation. It was very painful to watch.
Really difficult for me because I couldn't admit to myself that I didn't like it for the longest time, and then finally I just was like, I had like a coming of age moment, and I was like, it's not good. Yeah. I got to say it. But it does have Kylo Ren and Rey, which are the driving points for the saga for me right now, because I'm very invested in those characters. Mm-hmm. So because of them and the moments together that they had, I think were good and the best parts of the movie. Mm-hmm. I still have to maybe put it above Solo, because Solo was a movie I didn't even need to see. Mm-hmm. But Solo had Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Who was true to fucking character.
Yeah.
Where
a lot of things were true to character in Solo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chewbacca, for me, Solo is well above.
Yeah. However, I've seen Last Jedi 6-7 times. Mm-hmm. I've seen Solo once. I'll need to see it a few more times to really come to terms with where it hits in my rankings. But ultimately, it probably does rank higher than The Last Jedi. That's fine.
Not going to lie. For me, Solo, even in its genericness, it did manage, when I heard, that song, when they were doing the Kessel Run and a few other moments of charisma where he was like, Han, and him and Chewbacca, and he had that smile, and it, he must have really tried hard to get. There was just those moments where they pulled the wool over my eyes, and I was like, I'm watching a Star Wars movie. I feel like it's Star Wars. Even those glimpses, I didn't get that in the.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, for sure.
So I have to put it well above.
Yeah, and of course, and you're totally right. Ron Howard did a great job, especially if you think of coming into a movie that's 80% shot and having to start from scratch and complete it all in time to release without delaying the movie. Mm-hmm. He did a great job.
Yeah, I gotta love Ronnie.
Yeah, I love Ron. Good work, Ron.
Good work.
We're going to close out the podcast. This Media Zushi is a once-a-month podcast where we cover things happening in that month.
Yeah.
So we're going to, that was, of course, what the thing we watch in May. What's coming out in June? June 8th, we've got Ocean's 8 and Hereditary. And, of course, we're only talking about the movies coming out that I want to see and that Gordy wants to see. There's tons of other movies coming out.
Yep.
Ocean's 8, I think, looks really cool.
Yep. It's gonna be
I'm
fun.
actually pretty excited for that. Hereditary, I am cautiously optimistic, but that looks like that girl that we both wanted to date in high school. That weird mental-looking chick. Looks like an interesting. June 14th to 15th. Upgrade. You probably haven't seen this yet.
I don't know what
I'm going to
Upgrade
show you
is.
the trailer when we're done here. It's a hyper violent sci-fi movie that looks fantastic. In fact, I'm going to show you the trailers here shortly.
Okay.
You're going to be excited about it. Tag looks really funny.
Tag.
Have you seen the trailers for that?
I don't know what tag
It's
even
that group
is.
of friends playing tag. That's it.
Playing tag?
Yeah, it's like
It just gets epic or
it
something?
looks like a Judd Apatow movie.
Oh, okay.
But I'll show you. Yeah. June 18th, Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
I could care fucking
I wish I
less.
could get more excited about it.
I have no.
The,
in fact,
the boat sailed a long time ago.
Every time they show that trailer for Incredibles 2, the last few movies we've seen, I just want to fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the longest 2.5 minutes I've ever sat through. I don't want to see it. It doesn't.
Doesn't appeal to
But
me.
I will see it because it's going to be a movie. And then
Jurassic.
June 22nd, we're going to close it out with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I am excited for.
Yeah.
Because fucking dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs eating people and shit.
Dinosaur, and that's all I need from a Jurassic Park movie. You don't gotta fucking get crazy. All Jurassic Park movies have been fine except for Jurassic Park 3. Somehow that was bad, probably because of the talking velociraptors. Alan! But I love Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World was really fun. I've never seen you jump more than when that light bulb exploded.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit. That light bulb scared me.
And Jurassic Park 3 is forgettable. I like Jurassic World quite a bit. It was really fun.
It was super fun.
You just go to see these movies to watch dinosaurs do dinosaur shit.
Yep.
And that's what I'm looking forward to. And then, of course, towards the end of June, we will do another episode of Miyazushi where we talk about those movies and things we watched then. And then we'll proceed into July going forward. And then we'll probably have Jake joining us for that one. But anyway, Gordy, that's anything else you want to say?
You know, if you haven't seen those movies and you sat through this with us, please go see them.
Yeah, my bad.
That's really weird. But yeah, we've had a lot of really good stuff come out lately, and so hopefully we can get some more good Media Zushi content out there. Stay tuned for more.
And as you know, if you're on Patreon, you can get this early. You can check it out on YouTube, a video version, or you can download it on your favorite podcasting service around the world and listen to our voices in your ear holes. I am Adam Ronan. That to my left is Gordy McGorderson. And we're out. Gordy, say something real stupid. Just like say something dumb like, fucking,